And Kaitlin.
Welcome. We are getting near the end of this season.
I know.
Crazy. One more episode after this, you guys.
Crazy.
This is crazy. Also, guys, thank you so much for all the love on like the social media.
I know. What the heck?
Oh my gosh.
You guys are crazy.
It's been crazy. We were like actually seeing people listen and be involved in our questions that we put out on our Instagram stories, and like seeing people actively enjoying like the sound bites that we put out, and like being, I don't know, it's so cool.
It's so nice.
It just makes my little heart so happy.
And also we love that you guys love books as much as we do, and we're like, oh, this is a lot of people.
Right. It really validates me when people look at me and they're like, you read? And I'm like, yeah, and so do all of my listeners. You know?
The shade. Shade.
So I'm like, I'm not the only one. Ooh. You know? I don't know. It's been great. Well, speaking of, how much we love books.
Oh, yeah. Is that why we're here?
That is why we're here.
Okay, I guess.
Something funny, right, is that there's a lot of great books out there. And I think everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Yep.
100%. Which means that I think we're entitled to tell you
our own opinion.
Our own opinion. So we are going to talk about books in 3 different categories. We're going to talk about books that we think are overhyped, books that we think are underhyped, and then the books that we think are like perfectly hyped. So a little bit of a Goldilocks situation.
You might not like what we have to say.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You don't have to like it, and you can like it if you want.
Yeah.
So we're mostly, are we mostly focusing on book talk books?
I think so, especially for the overhyped ones, because I think those are the ones that, you'll see across, especially book talk, a little bit on Bookstagram, maybe BookTube vibes. But the ones that I feel like these, when I'm talking, at least I think we're with overhyped books, is the ones that I just see in every single recommendation video.
Right.
Or they're just, the hype for them is just absolutely through the roof.
What's your overhyped Sophia book? Like, that you always talk about? Oh, mine is A River Enchanted.
I mean, but
as y'all know.
The funny thing is, like, the books that I feel like I overhype are because I love them, but it's also like, but I feel like maybe you're talking about ones that people are probably tired of us talking about.
Sure.
Well, in that case, it would be A River Enchanted for me too. For me, it would probably also be an ESJ.
You know what? I'm going to shout out my friend, Maddie.
Hey.
She's on TikTok, and she's also a personal friend of mine, but she commented on one of my TikTok videos and was like, on my book talk, and she said, I need to get out of a book slump. And so I said, guys, say it with me, 7-year slip of River Enchanted book lovers. Like, top 3. She went to the bookstore that day, bought it. Whoa. Read 7-year slip. She was like, 10 out of 10. I am bawling my eyes out. I'm about to start A River Enchanted. I was like,
okay.
Oh, people actually take our book recs. Yeah. And you guys have taken our book recs too. So cool. Yay, Divine Rivals, always forever.
I've also had some friends take some book recommendations.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of crazy.
You and I were having a conversation about where sometimes people are surprised that we read.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that with somebody else where you're talking to somebody, or maybe even it pops up on like Goodreads, because you know how you can be like Facebook friends on Goodreads?
Right.
Have you ever been shocked that somebody reads? Like, I was curious.
One of our friends from Galentine's Day, we were just talking about books, and she was looking at the bookshelf.
Cute.
And then I was like, do you read? She's like, actually a lot. I actually didn't hit my Goodreads reading goal. And I went, oh, she's for real. She is for real. That was really cool.
I love that.
Because like sometimes that's not the forefront of people's like conversation with you of like, hey, I'm a reader.
Right.
Except that one time you were at church and you were like, oh, I have a hustle. I do a podcast of a podcast. And then you found somebody that reads, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was at
Sophia's always plugging us.
I was at like
it's
a
great.
women's event at our church, and they were doing like bingo. So you can like find out stuff about each other. And which was a great icebreaker. It's a great way to do like And so one of them literally was like, do you have a side hustle? And I was going around, like people were asking me, and all of the other basic ones were filled in. So I was like, well, I do have a side hustle. I have a podcast. And then of course that leads to like, what's your podcast about?
Yes, right.
And I was like, oh, right. Let me tell you. Anyways, it's just funny because I feel like, it's so cool to find out that other people around us read.
Well, also the kind of books we read.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
specific.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, all to say, I want to like get into this idea
Let's do it.
of like the hyped books. So I think we're gonna start off with. Do you want to start off with overhyped? I think that's what we're. Do we want to start off a little controversial, maybe?
Let's start controversial.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I have a feeling you guys might love this book. You might not love this book. I don't really know. The thing is, I enjoyed reading this book that I'm about to talk about. It's just, I don't believe it deserves all the craziness around it. I'm talking about Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. You must be living under a rock at this point if you have not heard of that book. I mean, I was on a plane and like a 70-year-old woman was reading Fourth Wing. Like, everybody knows it.
That is iconic, though.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
It was awesome. I just couldn't talk to her. She was sitting in front of me. Anywho, I just think that there are other fantasy books that deserve this amount of hype that's around Fourth Wing.
I agree.
Yeah, that's my overhyped book. I'm like, I don't know.
Like, that's the one, folks.
There have been better endings in other ones too. This didn't suck. It was just like,
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, it is funny. You have not read Iron Flame.
Girl, I bought it. It's sitting over there. I've not touched it.
Yeah. I did read Iron Flame, and, you know, I think it's funny. The consensus overall with Iron Flame was not as loved, which was so interesting.
Right.
So it's interesting to see what the current hype is with Fourth Wing, because obviously people still love it, but now with the sequel being out and with mixed opinions on the sequel, it's been interesting to see like different people's, if their opinions are shifting at all.
Yeah.
I still agree, though. I definitely feel like it is overhyped. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm also, so I agree with you with Fourth Wing. And I'm going to throw out one that's, again, you're probably living under a rock if you have not heard of this book or this series. And this is not to say that I do not love this book, right? I just think it's overhyped. And I'm talking about the second book in the ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. So as of right now, the series, the green one, yeah. As of right now, the series only has 5 books. It's still going on. I think she's already writing the next book, but right now we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of War and Ruin, and then there's like the little novella, Frost and Starlight, and then A Court of Silver Flames. Everybody has their own favorite book within that series. My personal favorite is War and Ruin, so Aka War. But there is just something about Akamath, Court of Mist and Fury, that has a chokehold on some people.
Wow.
I don't get it. I just really don't understand. The only thing I can think about is that there's like a conversation that happens like 3/4 of the way into the book that changes a lot of the story, and it gives it reveals a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you're basing your entire love for that entire book and you're placing it at the top of your list for that one conversation, I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't make sense to me why that's like the most loved of all of them.
Okay.
I don't know. Again, that doesn't mean I don't love the book.
Is it like one of those books in the middle of a series that you're just getting a lot of information to set up for the rest of the series?
Yes. Like the information definitely is shifting, right? Because we get a whole story in ACOTAR that, you know, feels actually pretty, not wrapped up, but feels pretty conclusive at the end of the book.
Okay.
And then you just start going off the deep end in the next book. So I don't know. Again, like I love the book. I don't understand why it has such a chokehold on so many people.
LOL.
I don't know. That's that one for me. Do you have another overhyped one? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Do share.
Okay. Magnolia Parks. It's not Magnolia Parks, but the author, Jessa Hastings. People live, die, breathe.
That's true.
Jessa Hastings. She's so many people's auto-buy.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Mm-hmm.
I decided not to read Magnolia Parks, and I'm going to read it, but I didn't read it first. What I did was I decided to read her first fantasy, Never. Now, it's definitely split. People like it, and people don't like it. More people like it because it's Jessa. Okay. And I think we just got to pull that back. It was a Peter Pan retelling. I freaking love Peter Pan retellings. Like, I love Peter Pan.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it's a no for me, dog.
Yeah. I know you and I both really want to read Magnolia Parks. Like, it will happen.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious because I've never read Never.
Nice.
I thank you very much. I'm proud of that.
That's a good one.
I just, like, I definitely think if I'm going to get into Just the Hastings, it will just need to be Magnolia Parks. And it'll probably just stay there. Because I feel like, it's been very interesting to see. And it's interesting that you mentioned that it's, like, overhype maybe on the author herself. And that doesn't necessarily reflect the Magnolia Park series. Because I do think that series is probably very good. It's just interesting that maybe some people, again, like you said, like, some people, it's like their auto-buy author in a sense.
Yes.
So maybe they're going to just overhype it, even though you're like, clearly it's not the best book. And maybe she should not write fantasy. Like,
girl, there's a book 2 coming out already.
What?
They announced that there's going to be a book 2. And I was like...
For Peter Pan?
Yes. And you know what? I'll say the ending also felt conclusive. I was like, okay, this was a weird ending, but we're done.
Yeah.
No. Anyway,
interesting.
that's what I think. I know.
I'm gonna throw out one more overhyped. Okay. Because again, and I think I've talked about this before, and I've said that I'm definitely in like the minority here with this, but I don't think that the Cruel Prince trilogy is really even good. I'm sorry to say it. But
you read it.
Yes, I've read it.
Okay, so she can say that, guys.
Yes, I've read the trilogy. I don't get it. I don't understand. Now, again, like, if that's what got you into fantasy, if that's, like, your diehard trilogy, like, I love that for you, but I just didn't, to the point, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I could tell you the story.
Sophia's going in right now.
I don't even know if it's like one of those books.
Is it actually, wait. Is it actually about a Cruel Prince?
Yes. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
I can tell you that it's fantasy. That it's YA. That there's a Cruel Prince.
How YA are we talking?
Pretty
13?
YA. Oh, no. Probably
14.
Like 15, 16 probably. 7. Like YA. I mean, there's no, like, there's barely even any, like, romance or anything. I don't know. But I see people, like, our age loving it. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And, like, I would love for somebody to change my mind and to be like, oh, well, it's because of this that I love it. And I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, I get, it did not stick with me. I couldn't even really tell you the storyline anymore. And I only read this, like, 5 months ago. It's not been that long. So, anyways, I'll just say that was a series I got from the library. And I'm glad I got from the library because I don't feel like I need to own it. Okay. There we go. Okay, controversy over.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to throw some underhyped?
Yes.
At me?
Okay. We both read this one for book club, Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I actually been talking about this a lot now that we've been like away from it. It's so good.
Yeah.
I actually like One True Loves and this one, but I like, it's funny. Everybody likes Daisy Jones, 7 Husbands. That's great. What about her other stuff? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm actually, it just makes me so happy. It's a good one. I don't think people talk about it enough.
It's really good.
When it comes to Taylor Jenkins Reid.
It's one of her earlier ones, though, too.
Yeah.
It's interesting seeing authors get a lot of hype for a book and then realizing they have a really good backlist. That's what happened with you and I with Rebecca Ross. Was like, we started out with, Divine Rivals is really popular. What is this about?
Yeah.
And then we dug into her backlist. So I think that's what's happening with TJR a little bit is like, we're discovering, she's got a lot of great books that weren't really talked about, Yeah. I feel that way with One True Loves too. That's not on my list, but it's like, those are the two, maybe in Another Life and One True Loves. Like, I'll always recommend those.
Yes.
Because I think they're really, really good. I would love to see An Ember in the Ashes get more love. I've talked about that series before.
I only know because of you.
Right. Yeah. And I see it rarely come up in recommendation videos. And so whenever I do, I'm like, that person knows what they're talking about. Like, whenever I see it recommended, I'm like, absolutely. It's so good. I don't even want to, like, give much away about it because I feel like it's a great series to go into pretty blind.
Yeah.
Because I went in completely blind, knowing nothing. And I loved, like, kind of not expecting anything from it, but that first book, it's a 4-book series. I've read the first 3, so I have not read the last one yet. I really want to, but especially that first book, I picked that up and it was like, again, going in with no expectations, a 5-star immediately.
Wow.
I put that book down and I was like, this was it. This was really, really good.
Ooh.
I just wanted to get more love. It's so good. It's so good. It's so unique.
Fantasy?
Yeah, it is fantasy. No, like super intense, hard to understand fantasy though, which is nice.
Oh, good. Okay.
Pretty
Is it
simple.
YA?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's YA.
In the ashes.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, put that on your
so
TBR.
Put that one on your TBR.
Okay.
I don't know. What other? Do you have another underhyped? What are you feeling?
Okay, here's the thing. It was hyped before, but I feel like people have recently just kind of put it off.
Okay.
A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. You've read it.
I read the first one.
You read the first one.
Yeah.
I read the second one.
Okay.
It's so good, and nobody talks about the second one. They always talk about the first one because it's like very set up-y.
Right.
You know,
Right.
The second book is a little darker because they're a little older.
Okay.
And they started a podcast called A Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
There you go.
And people are like going up to them asking to help solve things, and she's just getting deeper and deeper into some town stuff.
Ooh.
So
that kind of the podcast thing. Have you seen Only Murders in the Building?
Yes.
It kind of
so good.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, is it kind of like that?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah. So
Fun.
I think in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, the second one as good as good. What is it?
Is it Good Girl?
Good Girl, Bad Blood.
There we go. GGBB.
Yeah. I think that's not talked
Okay.
about enough. It's really good.
I own it. I
Yeah.
bought the first 2 books because I found them at the thrift store together.
Oh.
I know. I was like, well, what a find.
There you
So
go.
I do have it. I will probably get to it at some point. I'm always saying that about every book that I own.
I feel it.
I feel like I'm not going to live long enough to read every book on my shelf.
Me
It's
too,
crazy.
dude.
Oh my goodness.
All right, what's yours?
One more underhyped I will throw out is Dance of Thieves. This was
Yes.
another one that I feel like I see getting love. It's out there, it circulates, but it's not getting the love that I want it to get. It's so good. Now, I will say the funny thing is I've actually seen it come up in some videos that are like recommending the OG book talk video or book talk books. So I think it was one of those books that was recommended kind of when book talk was just starting. And obviously I think I missed that era. But I'm like, no, it can recirculate. It can come back. Like, let's bring the hype back about it. So it's just a duology. It's Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. And it's so good. Again, it's fantasy, very light fantasy, though. Pretty easy to understand.
Somebody posted about it and how much they loved it. And I thought of you. And I was like,
it's so good.
Why is there only 2 people, you included, in book talk community talking about this book?
It's
also, the
so
cover is
good.
gorgeous, you guys.
I know.
It's gorgeous.
I just want more people to read this duology. It's just a duology. It's just 2 books.
I need to get to it. Maybe I'll put it on for next month.
Super good. Super, super good. Again, like, these are both fantasies also that I feel like if you do not want to go into a world of, like, fae and high fantasy, these are the books for you. You know, they're a lot lighter, much easier to, like, consume and, like,
I like
understand,
that.
I feel like. So,
Yeah.
those need more love. Those
That's
need
a good
more
one.
love. Yeah. Okay, the perfect hype. Now, first of all, describe for me what a perfectly hyped book means to you. What are your, like, what do you put in that category? You know what I mean?
That the reviews equal what happened and how I reacted to the book.
Okay.
So if I hear a review that's like, you guys, this book is killing, all this stuff happened, I cried, I screamed, and then I read the book and then I cry and scream and I have the same reaction, that's when I'm like,
there you go.
They're right.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
what
what do you got?
What does it mean to you?
I definitely agree. I think also for me is like, you know, a book that for me I would say is perfectly hyped is in that going to be 4.5 or 5-star category. So it's a book that I absolutely loved and I'm loving seeing other people love it. And that could be a book that either I read based off of recommendations,
right,
or a book that I didn't really know about, read it, and I'm also seeing people be like, guys, do you know about this book? So so very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will go.
Okay.
I think if you've been an OG listener at this point, I can never not mention my girl, Rebecca.
Yep.
It's like,
we love her.
It's like I'm a freshman in high school and she's the senior.
Yeah.
And she's like so cool. And I'm like, you're the best. So if you guys can guess. And no, it's not River Enchanted. It definitely, I know. It's Divine Rivals.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
You guys already know how I feel about that book.
I agree. It definitely deserves all the love. It deserves all the love that it's gotten.
Yes.
I also think that Once Upon a Broken Heart deserves the love. I think that it gets just the right amount of love where I never really see anybody hate on it. I never really see people being like, this is my absolute everything book and blah, 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 blah. But it's like everybody loves it and everybody recommends it. And everybody's like, if you want a fairy tale-esque vibe and world, read this book. And I'm like, yes, that is the one.
Yes.
So for me, like, it's a 4.5-ish book for me. It's not one of my 5 stars, but I think it deserves the recommendations it's getting. I think it deserves the way people describe it.
Yes.
I love that it, you know, is always in the recommendations of fantasy books.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's so good.
Caraval goes along with that, but I think that I weirdly see Caraval get a little bit more mixed reviews.
Really?
A little bit, not by much.
Interesting.
But by a little bit. But Once Upon a Broken Heart seems to be the one that I'm like,
I know.
yeah.
Do you think it's because it's like even more fairy tale-esque?
Probably.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I love it.
It's very fairy tale.
I do like it.
And it's so
I'm not done.
so good. Yeah.
I need to finish it.
It's
I
really
need to
good.
finish the trilogy.
Yeah. Especially the second book of the trilogy. I feel like I'm 100% like, yeah, that deserves the love, which is The Ballad of Never After. So the trilogy as a whole is what I'm saying, but I think if we were to go book by book, I'm also like, when I see the second book in the series getting the love, I'm like, I agree.
Do you like the second book the most?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
I'm starting the second book.
Ooh.
Yeah, I started on my Kindle. I'm like, okay,
all right,
it better live up
here we go
to the hype, and
Hey.
it seems like it will. So
exactly. Any other ones you want to throw at me
I had Throne of Glass.
as a perfect type?
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. I'm in the middle of it. Reading Assassin's Blade.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh man, that's all I gotta say.
Some stuff is going down.
It makes a lot of sense, I have to say. After reading, so my orders now is Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Assassin's Blade,
Right.
and I'm like, oh,
Apparently, Sarah came out and said that is her recommended reading order. Because she never like confirmed it before, and so everybody was having their own like, oh, you should read it this way, you should read it that way, and apparently, so she like revamped her website or whatever, and on that website she said like you should read it third in the series.
oh,
So you're doing it right.
Okay,
you're
Sarah.
doing it right.
I
Yeah.
see you, Sarah.
Yeah, people still may disagree with that, but like, hey, to have
That's fine.
the seal of approval. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
So yeah, I
Okay.
I agree.
That's cool.
I agree. I also think that, you know, this is another one that I see circulate, getting love. Has a couple mixed reviews, but like for the most part, I see it getting a lot of love, and that is Babel or Babel by R.F. Kuang.
Okay.
Now, I really want to read her other books, which are the Poppy War trilogy and Yellowface.
I want to read Yellowface
I want to read it really bad because again, I see that getting a lot of love, which is great. But I did read, I'm gonna say Babel. I feel like that's, anyways, whatever. I really enjoyed it. I did not expect to love it as much as I did, honestly, because it's like dark academia, a little bit more of a complex world in terms of the fantasy building, and like even just the story itself is a little bit more complex. But I think that the people that like get it, which is really cool. So when I see it get its love, I'm like, yeah, I like that.
I really want to read it next.
Yeah.
Ugh,
It's really good.
So good. There's so many books I want to read, Sophia. What am I supposed to do?
Okay, question then. What is a book? Since like, okay, I feel like, you know, we've kind of talked about, well, we've especially had the controversial moment with the overhyped, obviously. Is there a book that is on your TBR that you are nervous is going to be overhyped? I'm just throwing this at you.
Oh.
Maybe one that you haven't even touched or like opened yet. Like not even a book you're currently reading. Like, is there a book that you can look on your shelf and be like, I'm scared that that's overhyped? What are you feeling?
I keep Powerless
I was just
by
looking at
Lauren
that.
Roberts.
I'm so curious to know your
started the
thoughts.
first 2 chapters, and then I got distracted by some other stuff, and I've been wanting to read it. Like I got the last copy at Barnes & Noble like back in December, and they did not restock for a while, and I was like, okay, it's popular, and Lauren seems so good. I'm just like
A little nervous.
I'm nervous that I might really like it, or I might be like,
Interesting. For our listeners, we've got quite the face for it.
I'm very quiet right now, but like Lauren seems so cool. I just think like I don't know too much.
Right.
Which I sometimes like not knowing a lot about the plot.
Yeah.
So I could just come in with a better imagination, but then I'm like,
Yeah. I'm so curious.
I've heard mixed stuff
I'm
too.
really curious to see your thoughts, which I don't know when you're gonna get to it, but like you'll get to it at some point.
Oh my gosh.
Obviously. I think for me, I mean, what's like on my immediate TBR right now is the Poppy War. Like that's one that I really want to get to, and I do feel like it does get a lot of love, but I am just curious to see what my thoughts on it will be. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like okay. Oh, here's one. The Naturals. I'm a little bit nervous only because I did not connect. Fair. I didn't connect with it that well with Inheritance Games.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, everybody already says, "Oh, The Naturals is so much better." But I'm kind of like,
have you read the first book yet?
No. I own the first one.
Okay.
That's it. I just
when we say like teenage Criminal Minds, that's exactly what it is. So, have you watched Criminal Minds?
Like, yes.
Once in a while, it will like come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so there's one guy, Reed. Yeah, Spencer Reed. Okay, so he's like super smart.
Right.
And can like really, a lot of them are like that.
Okay.
Now, personally, book 1, pristine, amazing. Got the second book.
Okay.
I haven't picked it up.
Really?
And I read that in the fall.
Interesting.
I couldn't. I couldn't get in it, and it sucked because I was ready. I was ready to go. I got it like a day after I finished.
Interesting.
So that's just my experience.
I know. Well, also, I think we're very interesting in the way that we read series. You and I.
Yeah.
Some series, I pick up the first book and then I am in that and reading nothing else. Other series, I pick up the first book, I read it, and then either I'm like, oh, I do want to finish the series.
Yeah.
Or I just immediately like, nah, I'm good. But there's some series that I really do want to get to the next books in the series. I just haven't gotten to them yet.
I'm so funny. I'm like a little sprinkle reader. So I'll be like, a Harry Potter, Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Once Upon a Broken Heart, ooh, Magnolia Parks. And then I like try to.
I feel like we need to stop you I feel like we need to stop you in your tracks right now. No Magnolia Parks, no Bride by Ali Hazelwood, no nothing. Like, just stop and read the books that you are in the middle of.
You guys need a book bestie like this to tell you to stop reading.
Shut it down. But also, you can tell me the same thing, obviously. But I like to be a little bit harsher with my words, I think.
She said, stop it.
Just stop it now.
Just quit it.
Don't pick up any new books. We were talking a lot about FOMO with books.
Yeah.
So
it's so hard. Sophia, here's the thing. I picked up Bride by Ali Hazelwood and I read the prologue twice and I couldn't get in it. I'm like, am I missing something?
I don't think you are, because I literally had a conversation with this wonderful, wonderful, sweet girl on Book Talk where she made a little video being like, I hate the feeling of when you read a book and you hate it, but everybody else around you is loving it. And I commented, she's like got like 50K on TikTok, and I commented, I was like, oh girl, like I trust your taste. Like, what book is it? She's like, I'll message you. She messages me, and this is why I'm not telling you who the user was, because I don't want to, whatever, obviously. But she said it was Bride. She said she absolutely hated it. Like, and she said she felt horrible about it because she got an ARC copy.
You know what? My other friend from Book Talk also got an ARC copy. And I said, what do you think? She was like, low-key no.
But then there's other people that I'm like, I like their book taste and they absolutely loved it. I don't know. Clearly, as of this point, neither of us have read it.
Yeah, I don't know if we will. We also are not like big Ali Hazelwood fans, which totally okay if you are. But also, she's coming from a romance author into a fantasy. And I think that's where sometimes it can get weird. Because here's the thing. If Rebecca Ross wanted to write only romance, I'm like, I'm in. Oh, well, because she has done romantasy. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I get it.
Right.
Now, if you've only done romance and you're known for that, and then you're like fantasy, magical elements, I'm like, what are you saying, dude? Like, I can't put it together. Yeah. So, anyway.
It's also, I feel like they're the authors that we go to for like our little in-between break, you know? And so then when they start writing like fantasy, you're like, I can't.
I get thrown off. I get thrown off.
Like, can you imagine? I mean, I'm sure she would probably be good at it, but like, can you imagine if like Catherine Senner wrote a fantasy?
I would write her personally and be like, girl, I love you. Please don't.
Right. Yeah.
Please don't.
Like, I think she's perfect in the way that she writes right now. Like, same with like Emily Henry. I can't imagine her writing a fantasy.
I would No.
Because I need her to stay in, not stay in her lane. Like, I don't mean it like that.
Here's
but
my
I mean,
thing.
like, she's so good at what she does.
Her fans would read it and buy it anyway.
I mean, so would
At that point.
would. She can take my money.
I'd be really interested, but I'm like, I feel like it would be so
That's
weird.
what I'm saying.
That
It's
would
like,
be weird.
I feel like, so that's the weird thing with like this, with Allie Hazelwood right now, though. It's like, and just Hastings, let's be honest. So it's weird to see, you know, this kind of like, oh, authors are trying.
Yeah.
Listen, you
I
know,
agree.
as an author, you can do whatever you want. But it's interesting, like, when your audience loves you for a specific type of book, or they know how you write and they love what you're writing, it's interesting to see the reactions
Totally.
to when they try something new.
Ooh.
I don't know. Anyways,
You're
it's
right.
a very interesting thought, but
Well,
I don't
we're
know.
going to do a quick question.
Ooh.
Hold on. I got to do the transition. Oh, yeah. All right, let's get into the questions. Honestly, we might. That's cute. We
should just do that.
Hannah Montana transitions, you guys.
since we've never come up with a name, I think
We
that's what
didn't.
we've decided.
Please help us. That's a placeholder for now until you help us. But
There we
here
go.
is our question.
Okay.
Which location in a book would you most like to visit and why? I got one.
Okay.
And I actually don't remember the town name.
Oh,
But
boy.
the small town from Book Lovers.
Sunshine Falls.
Whoa. Sunshine?
Sunshine?
Sunshine Falls.
I'm pretty sure is what it's called.
I would love to visit the bookstore.
Yeah.
I would just love to
Be cute.
be by the lake.
There you go.
The lake that Nora decided to skinny dip in. Anyway, okay. Moving on.
Yeah. You know what's funny is my answer to this question a few years ago would have been any book set in New York City. That would 100% been my answer. But you know what?
We live here now, so never
We
mind.
live in the Big Apple, so
Yep.
I'm like, I get to experience that, which is really cool. Like, it's so cool that I get to say that.
Sure.
Because that would have been my answer. So I don't know. I mean, the funny thing is, like, I feel like I didn't grow up in small town vibes, but I've been to enough small towns and I'm like, oh, I know the vibe. And like, I love it. But that doesn't make me necessarily be like, oh, I would, like, the only place I would want to go to is like a Sunshine Falls place, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen enough of those, which I love.
I think I'm
But
just
I feel
assuming that
like-
Nora is
yeah.
going to be there.
Yeah.
So if I visit.
It'd be like me going to a small town because I am Nora. Like, you know.
Oh, okay. I'm going to visit the character. Sophia is the character.
I am
Got
Nora.
it. Got
I
it.
am Nora. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, even though we haven't read it yet, I think I would want to go to London for like Magnolia
Oh,
Parks
cute.
vibes.
Okay.
I feel like that would be really cute.
Yeah.
I've also never been anywhere besides Canada and the United States. So honestly, you could send me anywhere.
That would be fun.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I could go to Paris if, you know, with like the Gilded Wolves, which is a great series.
Okay.
You can send
we
me
can go to Scotland. For
yes.
a river. You guys, I don't know why we get these questions because we already know every answer is going to be a river enchanted.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a good question, though.
That's a good question.
I like that.
All right, y'all.
Yeah. Guys, thank you for listening.
Yay.
We have one more to go for season 2.
Yeah, tune in next week.
Oh, my gosh. Super exciting.
Woohoo!
All right, you guys. We will see you next time.
See you later.
Bye.